sharing with you hopefully some really scandalous tips, tactics, strategies, techniques, and ideas on how to land an internship. And how many of you have met me person to person before? Couple, okay. My goal, okay, is to show you my most deliciously scandalous things that I do to wedge myself into an internship. I want to try to have some fun doing this. You'll be meeting other people because there will be a little bit of group breakout stuff that I will have you try to do. And my goal is to try to facilitate as much conversation and learning as possible. In fact, I've got the obnoxious goal of having 15 questions in the first 40 minutes during the 40-minute talk. So, and to facilitate that, I'm going to actually give out my cell phone number that I'll be looking at for you guys to text message me in numbers. This is called the two-way keynote. Anybody read Jeremiah Owang? He talks about the two-way, a couple people. If you want to look him up on Twitter, it's twitter.com/JOWYANG. Genius stuff. And somebody remind me to do 2 more books. But here's my cell phone number. It's 415-720-8500. I know it's weird. Is it creepy that I just gave you my number? A little bit? Not really.
Probably Google Voice anyway.
Really? See, I love the naysayer. What's the naysayer? What's your name?
I'm Ryan.
Ryan. Awesome. See, I've got question number 1 already. Is that a good? No, it actually rings to my iPhone. 415-720-8500. Text me in a question. If you've got an issue, raise your hand. Looking for that interactivity. I've got one off. I wish I had a hash mark, but does somebody want to volunteer? Want to keep track of how quickly I can get to 15 questions?
Just do a hashtag basis.
Okay. Hashtag basis. 1 question. Anyway. Okay, David. This is Mr. David Hornick from August Capital. He's actually, I roped him, and this is how I work an event. I mean, if you're asking me, how did Larry Chiang speak? Why is Larry Chiang speaking? I'm going to give you great content. But I also roped in Mr. David Hornick. You want to say hi? He's doing fresh afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. All Larry said, just come here and buy yogurt. I said, sweet.
Do you like how I roll with the +1? I'm going to give you a couple of book tips, okay? Book tips, book recommendations. I was an engineer, and my results that I got by not being a very good student, but I read this really awesome book, What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School, written by a genius man named Mark McCormack. He writes about 3 things: sales, entrepreneurship, and reading people. And if you don't take any notes, write down this book. The book's outdated. The book came out in 1983. It was a bestseller for 11 years. Write this book down, What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. He talks about 3 things: sales, entrepreneurship, and reading people. And scandalously, my sequel talks about 3 very similar things: sales, entrepreneurship, and character compassing, or reading people. The methodology that he talks about in sales completely helped me as an engineer. Now, as Ricky sort of kind of scoped me out at tech events, I mean, I went off the deep end from engineering, where I'm like the furthest thing from an engineer, where people actually have to look at me and say, was he really an engineer? Sprinkling in something in cross-training, where you all are great at tech, okay? I mean, this is a great school, and this is the strategy that will make you deadly awesome in the workplace, which is I'm going to give you community college flavored hustle tips. You sprinkle that on top of your Stanford pedigree. I know David's laughing. You sprinkle that on top of a great academic pedigree, you will be deadly. Now, if you want to Google something, I mean, this is what happens to me and David's friends. Me and David and I's friends. There's something called Ivy Hero Life Zero, okay? We don't want to go into that category. I've got people in my family that have that affliction. They went to a great Ivy school, and they miss it in the workplace. So strategy number 1 that I'm going to give for the platform, okay, is the wait list, okay? When I say the word wait list, what do you guys think? I mean, conjures up images of just, I didn't get in. And waitlist sounds like no, right? Who thinks waitlist sounds horrible? Anybody? Okay, now everybody close your eyes for a second. Now raise your hand if you're on the, I'm kidding, I'm not going to ask you guys to raise your hands if you're on the waitlist. But in the working world, okay, the waitlist, gorgeous, okay? It's the golden road of becoming truly successful by dealing with the hardship of waitlisting. Does anybody doubt me so far? a little bit, I mean, there's got to be a couple people that are doubting me with the waitlisting. Okay. Showing up, okay, now I'm going to give you the math behind it because I know that there are going to be some doubters, even though you guys are politely nodding. This is what happens during an internship. There's 6 to 8 interns, okay, or let's say there's a down economy, 5 to 7 interns, because interns are basically cheap, so I don't know why you cut back on interns, okay. In fact, you want to, so let's say during a down economy, 8 to 10 interns. 8 to 10 interns. You hire 9 of them, okay? Guess how many are going to drop out due to a better opportunity and because of whatever bigger, better deal come along? A bunch. You waitlist yourself for an internship, okay? You show up at a door, you move yourself to that city that you want to go to, or heck, if it's in Menlo Park, I mean, your best alternative to that negative affliction is not that bad. That's the new bad one, by the way. Is when you waitlist yourself for an internship, that's a way to wedge in. And I'm going to give you the step before that, okay? Is how many of us have dealt with rejection in this room a little bit? Now I'm going to argue before you guys raise your hands that I've dealt with more rejection than this entire room combined. I mean, how many of us are here because this is our third choice, our default school, our safety school? See, 0. Now, that's why IB Hero Life 0 happens, because you don't get ready for the fact that life is a bunch of disappointments. But that being said, the step before waitlisting, okay, is after you get rejected to your goal. Who has a goal internship that they came here specifically saying, look, I would love to get this one internship? Anybody? Goal internship. Okay. Let's say it's still early, it's November. Goal internship maybe February, March. When you find and wedge into that goal internship, you want to wait for the initial rejection and then ask politely after that first rejection, saying in a follow-up, instead of viewing that rejection in the workplace, and sometimes in the workplace, the first time rejection is just the opportunity to sell them more on yourself. And I know that because we got into Stanford, because you guys got into Stanford, the opportunity to then go into a default situation is less. Does that make sense? Am I confusing? So the step before that for waitlisting is asking yourself, hey, is there a waitlist for interns? Do you have a holding pattern? 99% of the time that answer is no. Does that make sense? Because they're just hiring 9 people and they're holding 9 people. Now I'm going to bounce from that into another kind of a juicy concept, which is how to network in a room that you were not invited to. Does that kind of make people uncomfortable or no? Or you guys looked at the preview. I mean, what are you guys hoping to get out of this?
They want an internship there.
Okay.
Your insight.
Okay. Do you guys like the wedge in for an extra 10 interviews on campus, or do you guys want me to talk about networking in a room that you're not invited to? Wedge in for internships. Okay, so during a placement office, what happens is companies come on campus, okay, for internship, and there's a cycle of 10 interviews, okay? And for that cycle of 10 interviews, there's a way to hack into that because they're going to have 2 people, or in most cases now 1 person, comes in for 2 rounds of 8 interviews each, okay? They come from some faraway place, or sometimes not so far away, but oftentimes they stay overnight. There's 16 interviews, okay? I did the math when I was in engineering school. There's only 16 interviews, and there's how many graduates that are competing for that same internship. And a lot of times you don't even get a first-round interview. My hack for this is not to just send a polite email or to lob in jobs at bigmegacorporation.com. Okay? Getting past that is critical, because how many times have you seen on the website, hey, would you like to submit your information to jobs at duck9.com? I mean, it feels like it goes to nobody. Or tips at techcrunch.com. It feels like you're emailing nobody. My goal, my thing that I'm going to try to sell you on is to close for an interview via voicemail.